What's up, guys? It's OP Koa bringing you some Vegapunk. This is the winning list from one of the recent Treasure Cups. Let's jump straight into some gameplay. First game into a Bonney. So this matchup's gonna be hard because our leader does not attack. So now we're only ever going to have 5 attackers. But there's a few good cards in this matchup. One of them we just bottom decked with this Lilith though. So that's a little unfortunate. He's going to lead off with Baby 5, which is basically just a free blocker for him. And then we're going to abuse Vegapunk ability and cheat out characters. We're going to cheat out the biggest characters we can, and then we have Egghead stage to restand our characters, which is really good against cards like Carrot and like the 10 drop Doflamingo. Yeah, so our opponent turn 4 is the Arouge. I know a lot of lists are moving away from this, so this might be a little bit older of a list. But we're going to double body. We want to curve out. And then like with Vegapunk, we're not afraid to take our life early because it lets us cheat cards out a lot of the time. And then also we're just going to restack our life. So here it's like he's got 2 attackers. We can just push the Shaka to our life with leader ability. And then develop bodies. And then Linlin is going to rip apart his hand. So like seeing double Linlin here is huge. And he just trashes life. And then we're going to cheat this Shaka. Because if he tries to go for a game, then we're going to have a blocker. We're going to stop that. So it'd have to be Hody. And then we're going to give him our board. He's going to freeze. And then let's just swing back, try and control board here. Yep, 8 into the Bonney. We could have just done 1 Dawn onto Linlin to not expose our plays as much. But he takes, we swing 7 into life. And then we drop another Linlin. This is, already a really good position to be in. And then we're going to push Frankie into life because he's going to have 3 swings. Shaka will cover 2 of them. And then Frankie, if he hits this, goes on the body and I draw a card. So I'm feeling super safe and I've got a great board here. He's going to lock down my board though, which is a little unfortunate. And then I realize Atlas is no longer effective because I pushed a card to life. But again, if he went for game, I would have been a little scared. So anyways, we hit our event searcher and that's going to grab us this 5 drop. I forgot their name, but he revives another Egghead on KO. And then yeah, so here we don't have great plays, so we're just going to swing big into this Cavendish because we really want to get it off the board. He doesn't give it to us. And then we're going to keep pushing things. Oh, I assumed we'd push things into life to be super safe, but it also makes sense to just rebuild our board. Because he's still only got 3 attackers. He's not going to be able to kill us. And then even here, he's going to choose to control board. We're going to use the Pythagoras to pull out Lilith, which is going to get us a search. And then we're going to hit Nami, which is what we wanted to see this entire time. Nami into these 5 drops is insane. And yeah, we're just going to use Nami, dump Luffy. Luffy's not able to hit anything on this board. And then we're going to keep pushing cards to life because we can't die if we do that. And then like any draw pretty much makes Nami live unless we hit Linlin. But if we hit Linlin, we're just dropping Linlin and making him to go to 2 cards in hand or 0 life. And both of those are really favorable positions for us. So he drops another Cavendish. We remove that with Nami. Find a Lilith. And then this is going to let us push a card into life using Vegapunk. Or cheat it out using Vegapunk. Here, I prefer cheating it out. Because now we're 4 wide and he's 1 life. Yeah, okay, and he quits, and it kind of makes sense because what is his play this turn? It's either Zoro or Kid, and then he has nothing to drop off of Kid. So then he's forced to go for game. If he goes for game, it just gives me the 5th body on board, which means he's super dead. And he has no rushers, so he actually can't even go for game. So yeah, Bonney's like supposed to be one of the harder matchups for this deck, but we got a good draw into them. And then here we go. So we're on the aggressive version of Vegapunk, but a lot of people are not. So they're playing a lot slower of a version. So let's see how the mirror match goes. Our opponent's taking his time. We get to go first, so we're just gonna cheat out cards first turn. I 100% regret dropping this Luffy though, because removal is so valuable in this matchup. And so keeping Luffy is just better. So like the only card we really lose to here is Nami, but the thing is Nami's a 4-of, and he just gets mega value. And then, yeah, luckily we hit Atlas. Atlas is huge here, because if he goes into life, then my Atlas can't be KO'd. And so then he'll never be able to fight for board. And then he does end up swinging life, which we don't care that much. Again, we're an aggressive Vegapunk deck, and a lot of our triggers are good. This time we had a Lin, which isn't going to do much, but now we just push a Frankie into life, and we can develop this Bonney, which he either has to remove, or next turn we're going to get value from it. We can also develop the Edison and cycle the cards in hand, because we don't want these non-blocks. Lin, not as good in this matchup. It's definitely good. It's just not as good or important. And that's the way it's felt. So he swings, we get the Frankie trigger. It's definitely a mistake to be swinging. I think he should have waited one more turn to not give me a bunch of triggers, because now I just stack life, swing board, and I should not be able to die here. So he swings 7, he gives me 2k, 1k. He loses 2 cards for that. And then we're going to cheat out. We're going to put a card into life and eggheads to restand our blocker, so he can't lose. And now if he swings into our life, we're going to get a searcher and another 5k body. So he basically has to swing board, but he can only kill one thing on our board. And then he Luffy's, which is pretty weak too. He needs to put cards onto board. And now we're just in a great position because we get to drop this Bonney finally. And if he lets us hit life, which he has to, then we're going to cycle through our deck and find the cards we need in this matchup. We can potentially dump the no block if that's relevant, but we're most likely going to hopefully dig for a good card to put into life, like this Shaka, because if we put the Shaka into life, we can't die. I mean, now we can definitely die, but we're going to have a blocker, Shaka, which will eat another attack and block, so that's 3 attacks, life, 4, so we just have to be able to counter out of one of these attacks. And with 4 cards in hand, it's pretty likely that we're going to be able to do that. So he goes 9, 7, which we could just counter out of this, but let's force him to go for game. We can pick up a 2k off the Lilith. Perfect. Swings 8. That's going to be one of his bigger attacks, so we're going to block 7. We can counter out of this or not. So the thought process here, though, is you block in 2k, and then he can only swing 7, which we can handle, but most likely he should push a card into life. Granted, we hit Egghead Island, or Egghead Stage, sorry, which is going to be huge. It's It's going to be really difficult for him to deal with the amount of tempo that we get from that. Yeah, and so then we just have to counter out, and then we win on the crackback. He only has 3 cards, we have 4 attacks. Yeah, and you can see in his hand, he's on the slower version, so he's on the Yamato, but Yamato's useless because we both have such little life, he's not going to be able to KO anything unless you sat there and stacked life. I'm starting to realize with this deck, it's immensely valuable to just play bodies. You get to double body. It's like you're playing Calgara, except your curve is just way better. So, or not better, it's faster. And then here we're into Marco. So the thing you have to be careful about with Marco is that your rested units are really easy to remove because of leader ability. So here, we're going to play this Egghead Island immediately and then restand the Shaka because now he's not going to be able to remove the Shaka via combat. And then the Atlas can't die anyways until he has less life than me. Yeah, and then we're just going to let him swing into life. He picks up the pudding off of Ivankov, which we don't care about because now we're going to remove Ivankov, which here we made a just straight up play mistake. We were supposed to use leader ability to play Nami, and then we could have double bodied here. It ends up being fine. It's just like a small... I feel like it's a large mistake. So we should have 1 extra body on the board. And it would have been this Lilith. And it would have gotten us another search. We would have had more information. And we would have been able to swing 6 and 7, potentially getting an extra card out of his hand. Yep, so he's going to leader ability minus the Nami, Seaquake just for the removal, and then swing 6. We're going to take it. We're not really afraid of dying. He has maybe 1 rusher in the deck that would be scary like Dragon, but we're going to have this blocker always up, and then we push cards into life. So now, if he swings life, we're going to get this Frankie trigger, get a 5k body, and draw a card. Being able to cheat Frankie into life is so broken. It's so good. And then he Gravity Blades us, which is pretty unfortunate. A really good trigger for him. But we've got this Lin now, and he either goes to 2 cards or 1 life. And both options are really bad for him. And we get to dump the Lilith, which is a no counter. Granted, I think I'd rather dump Edison, hindsight. Because I'm not worried about dying still. I guess if he decided to go face, he had a really good chance of killing us. But he can also remove board, so it's just like not a safe line from the Marco. So he's not going to take that unless he had a rusher or something. But he's just going to make a mistake and swing into this, and now we're going to get the Lilith and a search. Pick up Luffy. Luffy's going to deal with Ivankov if we need it. But here we count out our Don and we realize we can go 7-7 and 7 with Ace and still put a card into life. So, and then it turns out he just didn't have any counter. So we got there. Yeah, big con with playing Marco is you got to build the deck really well. Otherwise, you just never have counter. Or you just have too many cards that don't have counter. Okay, and then we've got one last match into Luffy. Vegapunk's like definitely got to be one of the premier aggro decks. I'm surprised that more people aren't playing this deck. It seems really good. I was a Vegapunk hater until I played the list, so definitely give it a try. Yeah, so then we drop Edison. Edison's gonna let us cycle. Edison is the winner card, so if you're hitting your local tournaments, good luck. Hopefully you pull one, because I think it went up a little bit since this list won. And then, yeah, honestly, every game that we've hit Egghead Island has felt amazing, so maybe you should mulligan for that card or Searchers, because it just feels so good every time you play it. Because now, like, he has to go face, and we're just gonna like use our blocker. Or sorry, he can go into Edison, which we're fine with. But like now Shaka is blocking and swinging. But we could also block with Shaka and give him the 1k. But Nami's a little better in hand because we can Nami discard this event and pop Queen. And then swing, swing, swing. So we've got a lot of options. Linlin's looking amazing here. And then, yeah, so we Nami, remove the Queen, pick up another Nami, which is a little unfortunate. We don't need this many Namis. And then, honestly, I could see myself just putting him to 0 here by swinging 10k. But we decide to develop the Nami, which is fine too. Because most likely he's going to remove this Luffy. And then we're just going to drop back to back to back Linlins, back to back Linlins. And that will rip apart his hand or put him to 0, which is going to kill him. And then because he had the Dawn Mines early, we're not worried about like 10 drop Luffy. He goes 9 into life, which not that worried about. And then the great thing is I can Nami discard this Egghead Island if he played a blocker. But he didn't play a blocker, so... I mean, now I just swing. He counters, then we're going to Lin. He countered twice, so now it's like go to 3 cards or lose your last life. And then we're going to push a card into life. So we lose to like Dragon sometimes. Dragon, actually we don't because we have Shaka. Yeah, so we're just in like a very commanding position with a big board, and then we're going to cheat another card into life and feel very safe. And we can put Snake there. It literally didn't matter what we put there, honestly. Snake or Nami. But yeah, he's not on 10 Dawn yet, so... Actually, I guess... So he could have played 10 drop Luffy by ramping with leader ability, right? Unless I missed him using it. Okay, so he goes 8. We're not going to use that. And then 6. I just block even if he loads the Dawn up. Yep. And then we just go 14 because this lets us swing 4 times and then still use leader ability. So we would be safe. Yeah, but that ends up being the game. So let's take a peek at the list. Okay, so here's the list. We're on 3 Atlas. Again, this is not my list. Shout out to the winner of the Treasure Cup. 4 Edison, 4 Shaka, 3 Pythagoras. Okay, I was right. 4 Frankie, 4 Luffy, 4 Lilith, 4 Bonney, 4 Nami, 3 S Snake, 2 Ace, 4 Linlin. This card's amazing for an aggressive deck. 2 the man with the world's greatest brain. 3 Please Save Me, and 2 Egghead Island. This list is really solid. If you enjoyed this content, please hit me with a subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.